Hey guys, today we are going to start our matter and energy review. Our I can statement for today is I can understand the concepts of heat transfer, physical and chemical changes, and mixtures and solutions. There's a lot of information today, so make sure you pay attention. Heat transfer. The first one that we're going to talk about is convection. All of you should know our convection rhyme. Warm air rises, cold air sinks, convection is really neat. So when heat energy is transferred through a liquid or a gas by cycling up and down, we call it heat transfer, or the heat transfer concept of convection, okay? The important thing is convection happens through a liquid or a gas. For example, when you have a pot of water on the stove that's boiling, that warm water rises, the cold water sinks, okay? That's convection. A hot air balloon is convection, or an example of convection. The hot air is less dense than the cold air, so it rises. The cold air is more dense, so it sinks. Land and sea breezes are examples of convection. Actually, the convection cells that are created all over the globe when we're talking about weather patterns, all of that is an example of convection. And in a room, when the air is heated and then it cools and it falls, that's also an example of convection. The warm air rising and cool air sinking throughout a room in your home is an example of convection. Okay? Conduction. In my classroom, we say conduction because conduction is the transfer of heat through direct touch. Two things that are directly touching each other. When heat energy is transferred between liquids and solids, or solids and solids, through two objects that are directly touching. Conduction energy is transferred by direct contact. There's two examples of conduction in this picture. We've got conduction from the heat source to the pot, right there where they are directly touching each other, and from the person's hand to the handle of the pot. Also direct touch, heat transfer through conduction. The spoon in hot coffee, the spoon is getting hot because it is directly touching the coffee. That is also an example of conduction. Now, in this picture, the rod in the fire is not conduction. That is radiation because fire is a gas, okay? So this is going to be radiation, but the example of conduction in this picture is right here where the person's hand grabs the hot rod and the heat is transferred to the person's hand, okay? Conduction has to be direct touch. All right, so the last type of heat transfer is radiation. Heat transfer through radiation is transferred in waves. The transfer of heat energy in waves through empty space or through a gas. For example, radiation is where heat transfers in electromagnetic waves, like from the light and the heat energy from the sun. The sun's radiation waves come down and heat the surface of the earth or the roof of your home or whatever it is that those radiation waves are coming in contact with. Okay, so the sun's radiation hits the earth and warms the surface of the earth. Also up here actually, when the sun's rays are absorbed, the radiation is absorbed by, like, let's say the roof of your house. The roof of your house then radiates that heat back into the atmosphere. Same thing when the sun's rays hit the surface of the earth. The earth absorbs the radiation energy, the heat energy from the sun, and then radiates it back into the atmosphere where we can feel it. Okay? The electromagnetic waves from the electromagnetic waves from the sun heat your house, and actually then the temperature inside your house rises, which is why everybody talks about energy efficient homes. Those electromagnetic radiation waves can cause the temperature inside your home to increase.